Wouldn't it be more economic or efficient to have the petitions on as opposed to going across the whole state? So that the people that are not affected by it are less likely to sign that petition. Number two is regarding the rather than the petition. The other question is if you have a flush tax, what happens with the rate tax? It seems like it's ridiculous to do it, and let's have one or the other.
I'll let somebody else address the flush tax.
I'm going to let somebody else do the flush tax. But on the rain tax, the gentleman asked that there's only 10 counties. Why are we doing the petition? Let me explain to you what the petition is. You know about the DREAM Act petition and the same-sex marriage petition. They are legal petitions for referendum. So when you completed those petitions successfully, they then went on the ballot. This is what we call a people's petition. It is not going to go on the ballot. It's a money bill anyway, so it can't go on the ballot. But it's designed to organize people throughout the state to put pressure on the politicians in Annapolis that we are going to identify. We have to have people organized on a database to know who the people are, who the businesses are, and how we can put a full-fledged assault, as I mentioned at the beginning, like the computer guys did 3 or 4 years ago. We've got to do that. There is also the possibility of a lawsuit. There have been 2 legal decisions related to the EPA, which is forcing this on us, reducing their authority to do this sort of thing. So I, along with Judicial Watch, we are reviewing that right now. So we may wind up with a lawsuit and a petition. But you know there's a lot of anger on this issue throughout the state, both business people and residents. And this is another one, just like the $5 billion lie, this is another one that is not needed. But I'll let someone else to address the flush tax.
The flush tax was enacted during the Ehrlich administration, and the problem is that money has been taken from the revenues from the flush tax and used to balance the budget. So again, we talk about this issue of truth in taxation, taking money, taking it, using it for another purpose. So that's what happened with the flush tax. And we all want a clean bay. There's no question about it. We all want it. But we have to realize that Maryland is not totally responsible for the pollution of the bay. You have Pennsylvania. You have other states that are polluting our bay. To think that we can totally do the job by addressing the problem just in Maryland is not realistic at all. Not at all. Yes?
On the range tax, are there currently any organizations that are exempt from that tax, like churches, non-profits,
Government.
That's what the government, right? That's no other organization.
When the bill came in last year, it was introduced by Delegate Hopper. If anybody listened to PAL this week, he did a great interview. Very interesting. He kept talking about it being a jobs bill. The bill originally, when it came in the dark of night, in the 2012 session, the last day of session was passed, it exempted state government. Because their argument was, it's already tax money, you're just transferring it from one account to another. The bill this year was brought in by a Delegate Carr from Montgomery County, went to take out the state, exempt the state. The bill was then amended to exempt out your nonprofits. The Catholic Conference came down and lobbied hard for it, and Johns Hopkins, other institutions saying that it was going to cost them, I think Hopkins was over $1 million a year paying this. So that's how the bill originally came in. Then on the floor, we were able to try to offer an amendment, and it passed in the Senate, which would have stayed in for 2 years to at least give us a chance to let people know that this is coming out, try to get people up and fighting about it. So hopefully it became an issue next year in the election. And unfortunately, the House didn't take it. The committee, I think, wouldn't even meet to deal with it. But right now, the only thing that's exempt on the state bill is state government. But I believe the counties, which is, they're enacting them, was Baltimore County exempted? No?
So this is enabling legislation. The state passed this 2 years ago, and it instructs the counties to figure it out. So the state did not say, this is the amount you're going to charge, and this is what you're going to do. It said, now we're giving you the authority to tax people, kind of passing the buck. But it
actually does. It says you're going to give us.
Okay, it's a forcing, not enabling.
I'll give you a good example. Yeah, in Harford County, because they're debating this right now, if you have a condo with one parking spot, you're going to pay as much money as somebody in agriculture that might have a half an acre under pavement. So it's been thrown onto the county to make the final decision of how they're going to come up with whatever that amount of money is at the end of the day. So what they're forcing the counties to do is just play one against the other to see who screams the most, and no matter what, it's going to be a very unfair bill. And
in Baltimore County, it passed out of the council, and it's my understanding after talking with David Marks, the councilman, that it's now up to the county executive to decide how they want to do it. I believe they took nonprofits out. Harford County, they have not addressed it yet, and what I can tell you both counties have said is that they don't even have shovel-ready jobs. So only in Maryland would you pass the tax or fee without something you want to spend it on. In Harford County, they said, we don't have people, we don't have a department to collect it, and we don't have projects identified. So the council is resisting passing this. Baltimore County said the same thing. I talked yesterday, one of my staffers talked to Baltimore County and said, is there a shovel-ready project if you collect this fee for the rain tax? And they said no. So you'll notice Anne Arundel County executive vetoed it, and hopefully we'll see more of that coming our way. But it's an unknown. What we can tell you is that we all did vote against it, and we will work hard because, again, why pass a tax or a fee when you don't even have a project that you want to spend it on? Ridiculous.
Is that what it is? Is that the passed, and each county must...
Each county can figure out how they will mitigate it.
And like Kathy said, this is a tax that the counties are just going to collect, and it doesn't go to a single purpose. So if we're collecting this for environmental purposes, it's not necessarily defined within the county that that's what the money is going to be spent for. And that's just...
I know that. Sure. I agree. I was wondering how you all, whoever, Governor, would address managing Maryland's water quality.
All right, I'll take that a little bit. Did you know that the state of Maryland commits $380+ million a year for Chesapeake Bay issues? Did you know that? Okay. Okay. A lot of it goes to education. A little of it goes to actually the monitoring, and some goes to cleanup. One of the most important things that we could do as a state is to ensure that the contract with Exelon for the Conowingo Dam, and this is something I advocated for in the Appropriations Committee, that the Exelon contract include cleaning out behind the dam. Because behind the dam there is a settlement pool. And if we get an unusual flood situation, that settlement pool will end up going over the dam and polluting the tributaries beyond that. I tried and tried and tried. I talked to Bob Summers of the EPA, of the Maryland Department of the Environment, talked to John Griffin of Natural Resources. This is something that should be done. If it was done so many years ago, it would cost $80 million. Now it's a bit more, but this is a contract that's going to go on forever. For about, I think, 40 years they have this contract. And what they need to do is clean out the settlement pool. They're playing games.
I understand that taxes has to be collected, but what I want to see is that the money being collected is towards quasi-goods. That's what governments do. They spend money on quasi-goods. But I don't see the state spending money towards stimulating the economy.
Oh, good point, stimulating the economy. I'm just gonna go right back to the gas tax, okay? They're gonna collect
Tell
this.
us what the question is, we'll answer it.
The question is, do these taxes that they collect actually stimulate the economy? So I'm going to just go right back to the gas tax, and that is that you and I both know that if a gas station has a price of gas that's a few cents more or a few cents less, we're going to gravitate to that. We're going to go to that gas station. So we are actually going to put out of business the individual station owners that are on the border of our state, because people are going to migrate over across state lines to buy their petrol. You know that and I know that. This is not a jobs bill. This is bananas.
Let me just make one statement about that. When a corporation is looking to expand in Maryland or to move to Maryland, they look at crime, they look at education, they look at our infrastructure, they look at our tax structure, and we fail on most of them. And with taxes going up, you know that why would a corporation come here? Why would they expand here? They're not going to do it. So as far as economic development, the state is not doing a good job. Now, there are a few industries that are getting corporate government welfare. That, a few choice corporations that are getting government welfare, which, I don't support that at all. If we lower taxes, everybody wins, and we will grow as a state.
Well, when Schaefer was in control of Maryland, we actually instituted the tax.
Actually,
It actually helped out the economy. Because the business owners chance not to pay the interest penalty. And the money that they're saving goes towards their business. It's actually stimulating a lot of moms and pops out of business
but
operations.
the sad part about the factory, I just want to say, it's pretty sad when the comptroller has to put police along the borders to lock people up who are free people choosing to buy their cigarettes and their sodas somewhere else. That is not the way to make your state competitive by locking people up who try to go across the state borders. That would be like communism or socialism. So what we need to do is make ourselves, we need to make ourselves more competitive and not need tax police.
What I'm looking forward to, what I'm really trying to address, is the amnesty.
That's always been.
Nobody left.
Well, on an everyday basis, there's so many people shutting down their mom and pop, mom and pop.
The amnesty is like a flea crawling up the wall of the slave trying to make a difference. Let me ask you a question. How many people...
You can hear back here.
Can you tone it down a little bit?
Here, his question was, or more of a statement, that when Schaefer was governor, he was able to stimulate the economy by basically giving money back to businesses. And honestly, this comes down, it is a economics 101. It's two philosophies. It's the philosophy of, if I give money back to this business, they're going to invest it in the business, to grow the business, to hire more employees, which will then put more money back in the economy. Or it's the other philosophy of the money should go to government, to increase the size of government, to put more people to work, which will stimulate the economy. That's what we're fighting. It's two philosophies in Annapolis. I'm more of give money back to the business, the Reagan economics of let the businesses grow, they'll hire people, they'll stimulate the economy, versus you have the Montgomery County, the Prince George's County legislators that they believe the only way to grow the economy is to grow the government, because that'll put people back to work. That's simple. I agree, 100%. That's what we're fighting. It comes down to that.
Let me ask you all a question, okay? Raise your hand if you think the Democrats control the state of Maryland.
All right, guess what? Guess what? You're wrong. You're wrong. John Kennedy, Harry Truman, Democrats in this room, Democrats in Harford County and Carroll County are Democrats. The people controlling the General Assembly are radicals. There is a major difference. Now, they think that every business owner is an ATM machine. They think that every taxpayer and person in this98 are Democrats, 43 are Republicans, only 17 own a small business. 17 out of 141. Here's one, I think here's one, and here's one. They have lost, in this state, 50,000 people have voted with their feet. Producers, people who are good people, and that number has escalated in the past 2 years. And we have lost, and Ellen can tell you this, we have lost tens of thousands of small businesses. And there is no figure for how many people who wanted to start a business or thought about starting a business and said, I'm not going to do it. So there is no economic growth. Forbes magazine rates Maryland near the bottom. American Taxpayers Association near the top. Now, the question everybody wants to know is, can we change this? No, I'm sorry. It's an uphill battle because God worked against us. Pancho Villa once said that it was the great misfortune of Mexico that God placed Mexico next to the United States. Pancho McDonough says that it is a great misfortune that God placed Maryland next to Washington, D.C. And they are growing, and they are outnumbering us. So we all have to work harder because they outnumber us 2 to 1. We've got to do twice as much work. So as far as business is concerned, I've gotten more phone calls than all of our delegates have in the past couple of years from business owners. And with this rain tax, this is a job killer. Rutgers Terminals down in the harbor is going to have to pay $350,000 a year, which is more than their property tax. So this is an important tax. 30 tax and fee increases since O'Malley's been in there, increasing the cost of government and taxes from you by $7 billion. So I'm just saying this so you get a picture and you understand what is in this state.
Next question, Dan.
Thank you, J.D. Betty LeBron, Lakeville, Marylander in Baltimore County, and Tea Partier. We appreciate you tremendously for the hard, incredibly difficult job you have for standing up courageously and doing the right thing against what is basically a bunch of knuckleheads over in Annapolis, and that's not my word. The last session, and once I testified against the gun grabbing bill, I smacked it to the Constitution. I said, this document trumps your document. It's not about gun control, it's about people control. The status and the hard left in Washington and Annapolis, they're in full attack mode on our Constitution and on we the people. And we've got to continue to stand up and fight. And this business of the gasoline tax, I was prepared to go over and testify. Where were the hearings? There were no hearings. I was prepared to go and testify, but they just shoved it through. Do you know what that is? That's soft tyranny. And O'Malley is a little soft dictator, just like Obama is a big soft dictator. I said soft. I heard that from Michael Sutton. So I'm not sick. His Highness King Obama did not get his way when the gun grabbing bill in the Senate. It went down. And His Highness had a hissy fit and said it was either shameful or disgraceful. One of those words. No, he's got it backwards. He's the shameful and disgraceful one. We've got to stay together. email, make phone calls, stand firm. I advise the teamer and stand.
Yes, ma'am, over here.
I would like to know, basically, collectively suggest to all of us to stop O'Malley and his brothers and to make changes for our registered voters.
The question was, what do we suggest that you do to help make changes, to stop this, what's going on? And correct, first of all, educate yourself. You know, does everybody know what happened in this last session? Every bill, there were close to 3,000. This is called the 90-day report. It's put out by Legislative Services. You can go online.
I've seen a lot of them, but my educated myself.
I understand.
That's not changing.
I'm trying to educate you. It's worth going one night if you can't sleep. Go on Maryland General Assembly and publications. Click on it, and you can kind of start to read it and understand it and see what passed. That way, you educate yourself. You know what's out there. As for the legislature itself, how to change it, it comes down to we need 71 votes in the House and 24 in the Senate to stop it. It's electing more people. It's educating yourself when you go to vote, contacting your friends, your relatives. All of you, I think, have legislators that you believe in that I think vote with you 98% of the time when you're views. Here's not the problem. The 7th District, part of the 42nd, there's a little part of the 42nd to a senator and another delegate that are a problem. Big problem. But it's having to go out to those districts. You know, stepping outside of ours, stepping into other districts to try to help. You know, you're going to have a big fight in 34, which is southern Harford County. You're going to have a state senator challenged by a guy that's got millions of dollars. And if he gets elected, he's going to go far left and do whatever the Senate president does or wants him to. You know, it's races like that, looking at these legislators. You know, are we going to get Republicans in every district? No, I'm a Republican. But you know what? It's coming down to finding out who's the most conservative. What person shares your philosophy, your philosophical belief in supporting that person and getting out there and helping them. What happens is nobody does that. Election time, nobody sees it, or we don't see many people. You know, we're knocking on their doors. We try to get people involved. You're all involved by being here. Unfortunately, it's everybody else out there that does it.
Now, let me just pop real quick. Now, we have great staffs in Annapolis that work for us. And when you contact us, they follow up on those issues, and they follow up on you too, especially on the gun bill. And we had thousands and thousands of people who contacted us on the gun bill. And the first thing my aide did when she went down that list, she saw who was registered to vote. In fact, you want to tell them what percentage of those people were registered to vote? About half. Half the people who support their Second Amendment rights were registered to vote. That is disgraceful. Disgraceful. So you say, well, and then, now wait a minute, then you get half. Then we can go down the list again and we can see how often you vote. We don't know who you vote for, but you're a triple X voter, meaning you vote all the time, or you're a single voter, or you've never voted at all. So now you drop down, and out of 1,000 people who contacted us who wanted to protect their second rights, if you took the number 1,000, maybe 200 of them were solid, serious voters. And that is scary. That makes our job harder. That's the ugly part we see.
When you discuss these issues with people, this is creeping socialism. You know, we're restricted on the kind of light bulbs we can use. Have you shopped for a wash machine lately? Have you had the toilets? And look at health care. Now, our liberties are being eradicated in this country. And it's not even slow anymore. When Obamacare goes into effect, our health care is going to be rationed. There is no question about it.
It already is.
So, yeah, well, I agree, it is rationed. So what we need to do is we need to get that repealed on the federal level. It needs to be repealed. And then we have the gun situation where we're going to restrict ownership of guns. I mean, what next? So when you discuss these issues with people, let them know that we are losing our liberties and must reverse this. Yes?
It was said that